Opening with the king's pawn controls the center and opens up the light-squared bishop and queen, often leading to sharp games. e5 is a common response that establishes a presence in the center. Knight f3 develops the knight toward the center, attacks the e5 pawn, and prepares to castle. Knight c6 develops the knight toward the center, protects the pawn on e5, and eyes the d4 square. The Ruy-Lopez opening develops the bishop to immediately attack the knight on c6. a6 forces the bishop to decide exchange or retreat. Bishop a4 safely retreats the bishop while keeping pressure on the knight. Knight f6 attacks the undefended e4 pawn and develops the knight at the same time. Castling gets the king out of the center and prepares to develop the rook to e1. Bishop c5 develops the bishop to an active square where it controls the center and attacks the f2 pawn. c3 prepares the d4 pawn push and opens up the c2 square. This kicks a bishop. This move puts the bishop on a safer square. d6 supports the e5 pawn and allows the light-squared bishop to develop. d4 takes space in the center, attacks the bishop on c5 and the pawn on e5, and allows the dark-squared bishop to develop. This avoids clear danger. This is a book move. This overlooks a better way to develop a bishop off its starting square. This allows the opponent to pin a knight. This defends a vulnerable pawn by pinning one of its attackers. This threatens to tactically win a pawn. There were worse moves, but also something much better, a straightforward recapture. This permits the opponent to kick a bishop. The bishop is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured. This moves the bishop to safety. This kicks a bishop. This move puts the bishop on a safer square. This stops the opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. This allows the opponent to kick a knight. This overlooks an opportunity to kick a knight. That was a free pawn. This is not the right idea. Only one move worked there, and this wasn't it. This is the only good move. This permits the opponent to kick a knight. This forces the opponent to double castle pawns. A clear recapture. This is the way to win a pawn. This is the only move that works. That pawn was free for the taking. The correct move to safety. This creates a pawn chain. Very precise. This threatens to eventually win a pawn. This prevents the opponent from being able to eventually win a pawn. Right on target. The game was close to equal, but now black has the advantage. That's fine. This allows the knight to control more squares. This is the only good move. A straightforward recapture. Black had an advantage, but now the game is close to equal. This misses an opportunity to develop a rook off its starting square. There was only one good move there. This is an equal trade. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. After all captures, this is an equal trade. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. The rook is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured. This move puts the rook on a safer square. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. This prevents the opponent from being able to force eventual checkmate. This is an equal trade. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. After all captures, this is an equal trade. A clear recapture. This threatens to force a weak isolated pawn. This is an equal trade. This forces the opponent to get an isolated pawn on a semi-open file. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. A straightforward recapture. An active king is critical in the endgame. That was a free pawn. This is the strongest option. This evades the check from the bishop. This makes a passed pawn. This removes a pawn that put the king in check. A clear recapture. One of the best moves. A solid choice. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. This moves the bishop to a better location. Very precise. A very strong play. Black has got a strong protected passed pawn. This evades the check from the pawn. One of the best moves. White's bishop has moved to a square with greater activity and control. Right on target. This moves the bishop to a more active square. A solid choice. A very strong play. One of the best moves. A solid choice. A very strong play. One of the best moves. This moves the bishop to a more active square. A solid choice. A very strong play. This is a fair move. This moves the bishop to a more active square. One of the best moves. This creates a pawn chain. After all captures, this is an equal trade. Takes back. This moves the bishop to a more active square. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. Capturing while sacrificing the bishop was the right idea. This wins a pawn. That bishop was free for the taking. This is the strongest option. There were worse moves, but also something much better. This is not the right idea. That pawn was free for the taking.